732 and affordable housing coming to a neighborhood near you. The proposal put forth by the city looking to add more than 100,000 homes over the next 15 years.
Yeah, the community will get to weigh in on that proposal, which the City Council is expected to vote on by the end of the year. The Director of City Planning, Dan Garodnick, is here this morning to kind of lay it all out and tell us how this is going to work. Dan, great to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So the plan announced yesterday basically says that there's going to be housing in every neighborhood. That sounds very ambitious. Can you kind of lay it out for us and tell us how that's going to work?
For sure. Well, it starts from the premise that New York City for decades has failed to produce the housing that we need. And the results are really unpleasant for New Yorkers, if you even want to call it unpleasant. It is really hard. Price of rent, gentrification, displacement, homelessness, the imbalance of power between landlords and tenants in New York City. And we need to act. We have a vacancy rate that is as low as it has been since 1968 at 1.41%. So the goal of this proposal is to enable a little bit more housing in every neighborhood around the city. We see real imbalances today in neighborhoods that are producing housing and neighborhoods that are not. We have 10 neighborhoods, 10 community districts that last year produced as much housing as the other 49 community districts combined. So we need to open the door a little bit. We need to create a little more housing everywhere and to reduce costs for everyone.
You know, some of the issues with not being able to produce housing in some of those areas has been zoning issues for quite some time, right? So how do you kind of work around the zoning laws that are in place? Certainly for you can't build above because there's air rights or whatever it may be, so buildings can't be a certain height.
So that's exactly what this proposal does. It is a zoning amendment. It is a zoning text amendment which applies citywide. So we want to take those invisible barriers that exist around certain neighborhoods and we want to say, you know what? We want to enable a little bit of housing there. How are we going to do it? We're going to allow for town center housing. So if you can think of a single strip of commercial real estate out anywhere in New York City, we want to allow for a 3 to 5 story apartment building there. Transit-oriented development. Within a half mile of transit, if you're on a big lot and on a wide street, we think that's a great place for a modest apartment building. Again, 3 to 4 stories. We want to allow for homeowners to be able to include a small unit on their own property if they wish. And all of these are things to enable housing. None of this is mandatory. These are opportunities that we need to create, and we need to get away from those very, very strict rules in zoning, which have limited things from happening for too long.
Isn't it a law? Are those zoning laws?
Zoning is law, and so you have to change it in order to enable things to happen.
Right.
Another great example is we want to allow for more affordable housing in medium and high density areas like in Manhattan or downtown Brooklyn, Long Island City, where we want to bonus housing and affordable housing specifically. So we'll give you a little bit more of development right if your housing is for affordable forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big question for everybody is how do you approach affordability? I mean, because folks are really struggling here in the city right now.
Well, it's a factor of a 1.41% vacancy rate, of course, because if people had options, then they could negotiate with their landlord. If they had options, they could get repairs on their apartment. You know, just the absence of supply is something which drives all of the costs up, and there's no New Yorker who is exempt from this. Every one of us feels this in one form or another, and it is time for us to take action. The mayor has charged us to do something really bold this year, and that's what this proposal is designed to do.
Talk about what affordable means, right? Because affordable means something different to everybody. So when you talk about affordable housing and creating these units, what does that look like? Are we talking about housing lotteries for people below a certain income level? Kind of walk us through that.
Yes. So when we're talking about bonusing affordable housing, what we have done is we have pegged that to 60% of the area median income. Historically, it had been 80% for our voluntary inclusionary programs in New York City. So we're lowering the income level so you could qualify for an apartment in New York City at a lower level. And for us, that's an important initiative because we know that New Yorkers are struggling today and that the affordability over time has changed. So we want to make these units, which we are incentivizing, more affordable to more New Yorkers.
And where do tenant protections fall in this whole proposal?
So tenant protections are really a hand-in-hand proposition when you're talking about housing supply. And the state of New York, when they just added new incentives for the creation of housing, also partnered that with good cause eviction so as to add more tenant protections here. We think these things go hand in hand. But fundamentally, when you don't have housing or housing opportunities, that itself is an inhibition on tenants' rights because tenants have no bargaining power. We need to correct that imbalance, and we need to do it here.
Yeah.
Let me play the devil's advocate for a moment, right? Because every mayor for the last couple administrations has said, we're going to build affordable housing, right? And then it doesn't happen. And then every mayor that comes along says, well, we're in this problem because of previous administrations. So here we are. This is the plan. It sounds great on paper. How do you ensure New Yorkers who have heard this story before of building affordable housing actually believe it this time and turn it into a reality?
I think it's a great question. Let me just say what no mayor has attempted to do is this sort of a proposal. A citywide zoning text amendment is the biggest effort at increasing housing supply through zoning initiatives in the history of New York City. So it has not been attempted in this way. And the reason why I am optimistic about the moment that we are in is because I think people are really making the connection between the lack of housing supply and the human costs. The price of rent, gentrification, some neighborhoods are producing, some neighborhoods are not, homelessness, and we are at a moment where, inaction is really not an option for us. So you are correct to say that the discussion about affordable housing and the need for it has been around for a long time, but nobody has attempted to do this, and we're excited to have this conversation over the coming months.
So in a perfect world, what's the timeline look like?
So yesterday, the City Planning Commission referred this proposal out to start the process to community boards, borough presidents. It will be at the City Council by the end of this year, and it will have a vote. And this is another distinguishing factor from other proposals because this is on a path. We're going to have a robust public conversation about it, and it will culminate in a vote at the City Council. Everything that I'm proposing to you here is something that is entirely within the city's power and control, so we are really excited about getting it done.
All right. I hope it happens. Dan Garodnick, good to have you here as always. I think New Yorkers are really hoping for more affordable options, so good luck. Keep us posted.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Dan.